Hello, everyone, and we apologize for the delay, but welcome to the CATS Facebook Live. Today is March 5th, and I'm joined by my colleagues Zita
And Rosalia.
and I'm Valerie. Today we're going to talk to you about the upcoming McGill SCS Job Fair. So if you have any questions regarding the job fair, how to register, the link will be going up in the comments shortly. So if you want to register, if you want to look at the 50 reasons as to why you should attend, or if you have just any general comments, please feel free to write them in and we'll definitely answer them. So today we're going to talk about the job fair itself. We're going to give you some tips, some do's and don'ts, some definitely mostly do's for the day, and how to prepare, as well as how to follow up after. So I'm going to start off by just explaining what is a job fair and what you can expect on the day. So we like to always put an extra special touch on our events. So on March 15th, Friday at 1 p.m., our career fair will be opening up. We have a wonderful group of volunteers who are going to be there to help students register and sign in. We also have goodie bags this year round. So the goodie bags are going to have lovely treats for you. One of them is a water bottle because we don't want you guys to get thirsty. So there's a lot of water fountains around where you can access water. So the water bottles will help facilitate that. We also have a coat check. So you want to arrive, you want to put your coat in. If you have a heavy backpack or anything else, the coat check would be the place to leave it there. We have wonderful coffee, which is going to be free. So if you're a little sleepy on the day, you need a caffeine fix before you go in, we have the wonderful My Little Cup Cafe, who's going to be there serving lattes and everything else, which will be free of charge as well. So don't expect to bring your wallets or anything. What else will happen? There's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of people. We have volunteers who will be identified. You'll be able to ask them any questions. There'll be a seating area in the reception if you need to kind of catch your breath and compose yourself before you go in. We have a number of companies that are going to be there. So if you have a company that you really want to speak to, I'll give you a few hints right now. Actually, Rosalia will give you a few hints right now. The companies that are going to be there, do you have any names to give?
Are we going to do this now? Let's see. Okay, we'll give you a few names. There's Sun Life Financial. Certainly you've heard of them. And they've got a very unique program for employees, and they're looking for a very specific, rather than a skill set, a rather very specific profile, so they could be very interesting. What's interesting about any of the companies is that they have the opportunity to present. So this is something that Valerie will tell you more about, but if there's a company on that list, and if Sun Life's one of them, for example, you want to make sure you hit their presentation.
So we'll be releasing the list later on this week. So if you've registered, you can expect to receive that email shortly. But we'll also slowly release all of the names of the wonderful companies that are going to be there.
I'll slip in a few later.
You'll slip in a few later. Zita, do you want to let one loose now?
I could do that. ADP will also be there.
Oh, yeah.
And the cool thing about us letting you know in advance is you can do some research.
Yes.
And figure out some targeted questions that we'll go through with them.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So if there's a company that you see on the list that you've been dying to speak to, and you really want to apply to them, and this is your chance, on the day, it's best to speak to other companies first so you can warm up. So you're going to need to come equipped with your elevator pitch, practice how you speak to companies, how do you introduce yourself. So if you're a little rusty, a little nervous, a good way to practice that is to speak to other people, speak to other participants, and then work your way around the room until you get to your dream company. And by then, you'll be warm, friendly, professional, and ready to go and ready to impress them.
And on that note, I just wanted to say something. Your dream company is who you were thinking before might be your dream company because you've researched them or you heard about them or you know they're reputable, but you never know what company, a company you may not even have heard of, could actually be your dream company. They might be offering positions that are unique and interesting or that you had no idea even existed. So for example, if a company does X and you think, oh, well, that's not my industry, but maybe every company has jobs in several fields. So do work the room and get to know the companies because you never know what will come out of that.
Yeah, for sure. Zita will speak to you guys about preparing questions, what kind of questions to ask companies. On the day, though, there's going to be a lot of students, a lot of people walking around, a lot of hopeful candidates who are in line waiting to speak to a company. So one thing to be aware of is time. Don't monopolize a company's time. So if you've been speaking to a recruiter for a good 5 minutes and there's a long line behind you, make sure that you're memorable. Make sure that that recruiter remembers who you are. Connect with them, but move on as well, because you don't want to hold up the line to the point where it becomes inconvenient not only for the recruiter but for the students waiting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a nice way to show that you're mindful and that you think of others, so you make a nice connection, but also it's time to keep it moving. And so that will be really remarkable for a recruiter who's thinking about how you could be a good fit to an organization.
Yeah, these might seem like subtle things, but they're important. And I think that everything that Valerie talks about is about having a plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have a plan. How are you going to work the room? So there'll be a floor plan as well with the list of all of the companies. So you'll know where they're placed, and you can strategically plan how you're going to go about working the room. So the job fair is 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. So you have a solid 5 hours to kind of have in-depth discussions, not only with the companies themselves, but with participants. So kind of strategize when you first get there.
Definitely. We talk a lot about networking, and this is a really great opportunity to show yourself and highlight who you are, right? And you get the chance to meet others, as we're saying. But in order to be your best self, we could talk maybe about some of the things you could do beforehand, so that way you're not scrambling when you arrive. One of the easiest things to say, and sometimes hardest to do, is to sleep well the night before. Same thing if you're getting ready for a job interview. You want to make sure you're well rested, and that's when you arrive with your best self. So if it's possible, try to get a couple of hours extra in there if you can. And it's funny, I'm really happy that we're going to have caffeine on site, but be mindful of your intake of caffeine. You want to make sure that you manage your nerves, right? So stay hydrated, don't get dehydrated, but have a really good coffee and chill for a moment and then go about it. You don't necessarily want to take your coffee around the room either, right? Because you might spill something accidentally, you don't know. So drink your coffee, take your time and enjoy it, and then continue to work the room. Also, in preparing for the big day, the night before, you might want to think of your outfit. What you wear really does matter, and you might want to think of the job fair as an entry point to even an interview. So you are being watched for obvious reasons. They want to see if you're a good fit. So what you wear is important. So you want to think maybe business casual. If you feel most confident and comfortable wearing formal attire, so a suit and or a power suit for ladies, feel free, but it's not as required. You can wear nice dress pants, you can have on a nice skirt if that's okay. I always recommend also to wear sensible shoes. You'll be standing for the entire time, and what's really nice is that you don't have to use your backpack or a briefcase or whatnot. You can definitely put that at coat check, but you want to make sure that you are walking around and you're feeling confident in your look and you're not feeling uncomfortable, specifically with your with your footwear. With that, you can also take your resumes and you can keep them on you in the reusable bag that Valerie mentioned you'll have. So it's multi-purpose. We're thinking about you at all times, so you don't have to walk with a big bag to have your resumes on hand. Should you have your business cards, take them out the night before if you have them. If you don't have, you don't need to get them printed beforehand, but if you already have that, put them aside and put them in a place that you had your resumes with, so you're already sorted out and you're ready. I think that's really nice. And we also recommend to prepare some questions for the recruiters or the HR representatives that are there. And I like to think that you can have some questions that are fun, but also not, too provocative in terms of topic. And if you like, we are also going to be having a job fair prep workshop day on March 11th, which is next Monday. We will open up the registration shortly, but that day we'll have 3 separate workshops, hopefully to permit for you to come depending on your work schedule, school schedule, your schedule period. So we'll have morning, afternoon, and evening sessions with a recruiter, and we'll talk all about job fair prep, questions, things you can do. We'll make it a little bit more full in terms of the ways you can ask questions and really prep for a session. And right before I wrap that part, I think it's cool as we start to release the companies, start looking over their websites. You don't want to just do that the day of. Maybe there's things in terms of employment opportunities you didn't know about beforehand, which you can research the day of. But in advance, you might want to just look over their site, see what they have to say, and you can get a good feeling of the company's culture just by looking at their website. So that can help you target some of your questions also.
Yeah.
And Zita, I guess then one of the questions wouldn't be, what do you do?
What do you do? Yeah.
Yes. Let's stay away from that one.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. More so, what can I do for you?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it might seem obvious, like, oh, well, what do
Yeah.
you do? But you should have a general sense of what
Yeah.
the company does, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you make a really good point that every company has multi-branches of what is required to make the company work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at finance, you don't only have to go to a finance organization.
Yeah.
Every company technically needs to have finance in order for them to work. So be open-minded to the different types of companies that'll be there to present themselves as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I guess we'll talk about how to prepare after.
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, I've prepared before. Zita told me I need to be prepared, and it's not just I just show up. Valerie talked about once I'm there, I don't just randomly walk around aimlessly. I have a plan. I have a plan because I know what companies are going to be there. I have a plan because you're going to get a floor plan. There's some places for you to hang out and get composed, as both Valerie and Zita mentioned. So after is no different. You want to follow up with companies, but you want to have a plan. Because if you were to ask, how do you do that? The answer is, it depends. It depends on a lot of things. So first I would say, you want to, if we talk about who you're going to connect with, I would say you can connect with the people you met, and also with the companies you maybe didn't have a chance to meet. So let's say you get, and that's something that might be overlooked, but let's say you didn't get a chance to go to company X. You could send them, and this is all through LinkedIn. If someone gave you their business card and you have their email, great, but generally you would say this is on LinkedIn. But do email them if you have an email address, but LinkedIn in general. So if you didn't talk to company X and you really wanted to, you can drop them a note and say, I was at the SCS Job Fair. I really wanted a chance to speak to you, but your table was always so full, and I wanted, I didn't want to squeeze my way in there, but my name is Rosalia, and I was really hoping to talk to you. Do you think that maybe we can have an informal conversation? Or I saw this job posting on your website after the job fair, and I was wondering, I know I'm going to send my CV as requested, but could you tell me a little bit more about it? So even though you didn't meet somebody there, it's still an opportunity. You have something in common, and that is that you were both at the fair, so it's a starting point for a conversation. Then the people you did meet, how do you connect with them? Well, that also depends. If you had an extended conversation and you seem to really connect, your email or your LinkedIn could be a little longer, and it could start with something like, and make sure, by the way, when we're giving these things, make sure all of this is authentic. And so you're not going to use my words exactly, so don't record this and put quote. You want to have a very authentic conversation with whoever you're speaking to, but something like, I really enjoyed talking to you at the job fair. I was particularly interested in fill in the blank. I liked that you talked about your company's culture being fill in the blank. Whatever connections you made, bring those back in. Okay, so that they will connect. Oh yeah, that was this person. They might have spoken to hundreds of people that day. So your job during, which Zita and Valerie talked about being prepared. If you're prepared, you'll be memorable, right? If you're authentic, you'll be memorable. So bring back those connections back in your email so that the person right away can remember who you are. And then carry on a conversation. Now, the other thing is in any way you communicate with people, you don't want to start with, hi, I'm Rosalia. I really want to work at your company. Well, I'm sure they get tons of email like that. No, you really have to start with your connection point. I saw you at the job fair, or you were at the SCS Job Fair. Take it from there, and you don't ask for a job. And we say this often in terms of networking, that if you can use the metaphor of dating, which some of you who might be married out there for 30 years are thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about, but let's think about this, that when you go out on a date, your first question isn't, so when do you think we're going to get married? You're jumping a few steps. The same thing is relevant to a connection on LinkedIn. You're not, hi, I'd like a job. No, you got to work up to that. So you got to work those relationships in an authentic way. Mm-hmm. So that's who you should talk to. When? Well, don't wait too long. Certainly don't wait a month after the job fair. That's when you're going to connect. Maybe not the day of, maybe not the day after, but don't wait more than certainly 3 or 4 days to make your connections. Drop them either an email if you received a business card with their email, or a LinkedIn message, but do not wait that long. And then keep in contact with them. You know, if you see that they received the promotion, you got to, when you have a LinkedIn relationship, you want to nurture that relationship. And I'll repeat, authentically. But if you see that somebody got a promotion, or somebody's working on a project that you find interesting, or somebody did a Facebook Live event and posted it, or a video, comment, like, engage with them, nurture that relationship. So it's not just a one-time thing, especially because recruiters are so busy, and sometimes they won't get back to you right away. That doesn't mean it's the end, right? It doesn't mean, oh, you know, I wrote Rosalia, geez, it's been 2 days, she hasn't answered me. Well, I guess that's over. No, absolutely not. Actually, the recruiter might take a week or more to get back to you. They might not even get back to you right away, but then they might have a posting, or they might see a posting on your LinkedIn and connect with you then. This is not a short-term gain thing. If it is, wonderful. If you connect and something comes of it, fantastic. But it might be a long-term relationship that needs continuous nurturing.
I might interject as well. So it does take people a long time to respond. Absolutely. Don't stalk them. Don't then send follow-up messages after follow-up messages. Didn't know if you got my message.
Yes.
They did. Give them time to respond, time to breathe. And most of them will get back to you.
Yes. And it's also my favorite ones for you stalkers out there is so they'll send a message on LinkedIn, wait a few days, send another one, then they'll somehow track down your phone number, call you and say, I left you a message on LinkedIn, and then they'll email you and say, I called you and I left. Okay, this is and I understand it's frustrating when you write somebody, and it's easy to take it personally, like this person did, I thought we had a connection and this person hasn't written me back. Life happens, work happens. They certainly recruiters speak to hundreds of people every single day. So it's not a personal offense that someone doesn't get back to you, but stalking, and I don't mean to use that term loosely, but being too insistent, is problematic, and that won't look favorable. And it's the balance really of, I'm going to be assertive because I really want to work there and I really want this, balance with, I don't want to annoy or even harass the other person. Find a good balance therein.
I think a good word for that then is organic. Because conversations happen organically. So when you start to link in with somebody, you might even pick up from the conversation you had, oh, it was great chatting to you about X. So that's your entry point. And let the person, now you volley the ball and let them volley back. And sometimes I don't get back to my emails for a few days because we get into things. And so I can see that it's hard for somebody to get back to me. So don't lose that human piece where it's okay sometimes to take time. And the more okay you are in receiving that there was a delay, that reflects really well on you also. Like, no worries, we'll chat when we're supposed to, and we go from there.
And I mean, guilty. How many of us have, somebody emails me, I really respect the person, I will think about, oh, I have to email this person, they emailed me and I really want to connect with them on, and then just things happen, and then it comes to the next day. Yes, we should all learn how to manage that better. In an ideal world, we would connect right away, but that's just not, in a world when we're always connected to hundreds of people, it's just not always possible. So just be patient and respectful. By the way, if you have questions, please feel free, for those of you listening out there, any questions at all related to the job field or job search or job fair, please go ahead and post those.
Can I add something? I totally forgot. A little note, like a safety precaution. Bring a power bar or two with you, like an energy bar, because you don't want to leave necessarily and come back, and you don't want something spilling on you, right? And then you'll feel embarrassed. So you can load up on a power bar. We'll have coffee, as you know, but just so you feel like you're at your absolute best. If you slept well and you've had a nice breakfast, let's say, or a great lunch, then you may not need it. But sometimes we rush around and stuff, so have that so you're prepped and you're really ready, so you feel that you can really chat with people for the distance, right? For the 5 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we encourage all of you who have registered to, hopefully you'll be able to attend the job fair prep session on Monday. Some of the companies will be doing company presentations. Some companies will be doing on-site interviews. So definitely prepare yourselves in advance, as Zita said, because you might end up having an interview on the day. So make sure you're prepared.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, absolutely. And it happens, right? So, and we have rooms dedicated to that. Valerie, can you tell us what's going to happen at the prep sessions? So what exactly are the prep sessions for the job fair?
The prep sessions are similar to this, but a lot more extended. We'll help you practice your elevator pitch.
Okay.
We'll give you feedback as to how you introduce yourself and maybe some of the vibes that you're giving off so that you're more natural on the day. Tips in terms of how to work the room, the types of questions to ask. We'll go more in depth and give you good, solid examples. If you have specific questions about your field of the field that you work in, and a company that's going to be there, we can kind of guide you as to how to approach that discussion and how to follow up as well. We'll also have a recruiter, a guest recruiter, who is the expert, I would say, in terms of job fairs and recruiting and what they're looking for on the other end. So this will be your opportunity to ask those questions.
That's really great, right? So you can field the right types of questions and understand their perspective. So it'll help you when you're talking to somebody in their position.
Absolutely, and recruiters have been to many job fairs. So they're the people so we've been to several, but that's different. As someone is there to recruit, if they're available to job fair prep session, you want to take advantage of that.
I feel like I might have missed something in terms of the day of when you arrive. Bring your resumes, as we mentioned, but every recruiter at every company has different practices. So some recruiters may not take your resume, and it could be as simple as they don't want to lose it. Right? So they might inform you then to apply online for the various positions that you've spoken about. It's by no means a slight to you, it's just their company policy. Whereas other companies might say, no, I would like to have your resume on hand, and they write notes on it right away because they too are meeting tons of folks that day, so they might want to write down notes to remember, something or remark you on. So it's really interesting how that's different per company, and it's not to be taken personally at all.
Yeah, and most importantly, have fun on the day.
Yes.
I think there's going to be a lot going on, a lot of different types of professionals and people. So if you're an SCS student or you're an alumni of the school, there's absolutely no reason, except for an emergency, that you don't want to be there on Friday.
I agree.
So we have 50 reasons. When you register, you'll be able to see the complete list. But job fairs isn't just if you're in job search mode. If you're looking for a job, that's fantastic. Great place to be. If you're looking to network and to practice how to network, this is a good opportunity to do so, as well as kind of seeing what industries and companies are out there. So we normally gravitate to the popular companies, the ones that we all know, the big names, but there's thousands of companies out there. So the more you expose yourself to the possibilities, the better your options are when you are ready to look for a job.
And there's internship opportunities. You never know. Sometimes you just want to have like a little information session, so that way when you are ready to start getting out there, you'll know, and you can go from there. There's way too many benefits, and it's funny. We don't even need to give you 50 reasons. You should want to be there. There's a question. What time will the job prep session be held on Monday? Great question.
Good question. So there's 3 sessions, 10 to 12, 2 to 4, and 6 to 8. So depending on your work schedule or if you have classes, hopefully you'll be able to make one of those 3.
And we'll actually be company X. In other words, we're going to have scenarios where we're pretending we're a company who's hiring, and you can come and actually live try talking to us the way you would to a company at a job fair. Give us your elevator pitch, talk to us. And so that's good practice too. So there's some theory and some practice and question asking. So you also want to be at this job fair section. Thank you for asking, Alexandra, that is?
Yes.
Okay,
Alexandra.
perfect. And I need my glasses.
The link, it's so funny. That's why I turned before I saw it. We'll send out the link later on this week, so you'll be able to register, so we know that you'll be able to attend.
Absolutely.
Speaking of career opportunities, on March 12th, the Government of Canada will be joining us on campus. So they're not able to make it to the job fair, but if you're available on Tuesday, March 12th from 6 to 8:30, and you're interested in procurement, so if you like to shop, if you like to buy stuff, especially big things, Government of Canada has quite a few contracts with big purchases. If this is something you see yourself doing, you want to be there on Tuesday, March 12th.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So after the Facebook Live, we'll add the link in the comments if you'd like to register. It's a free event. It's mostly an information session, and you get to ask questions and find out how to apply. So it's definitely an opportunity not to be missed.
Yeah, definitely. And I was reading that they're actually going to give tips on how to apply, right? So that your CV stands or your application stands out from the crowd. So
it's very good and useful information.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I feel like I'm forgetting something. So if you're in job search mode, next week, Wednesday, from 1 to 4, registration is open for the job search series. So it's a 3-week series where we'll go through how to look for a job. So I think this is a timely time around the job fair as well. There's also a number of other job fairs taking place all over Montreal. So if you need to prepare your CV, your application, your interview skills, the job search series is definitely something for you. So it starts next week, Wednesday. I'm not going to try and remember what date that is, but we'll put the link in the comments.
Is it 18?
We'll put the link in the comments so that you can register.
Perfect.
And that's a good point. That the reason Valerie mentioned why it's almost imperative that you come to our job fair is because it's exclusive to SCS students and alumni. But you might be going to several other job fairs. There are so many in Montreal, which we absolutely encourage you to do. So this series would help you in all aspects of job searching, including going to a job fair. And we're going to cover one thing that I know has a lot of interest from when we've had activities here in our evening presentations. One of our presenters talked about LinkedIn, and we got a lot of comments from attendees that they found that really useful. So there's going to be one of those 3 sessions is devoted entirely to how to use LinkedIn effectively.
That's really good. So then you go away from stalking and go more into effective communicating.
Absolutely.
That'll be great.
Thank you. So if you have questions, feel free to add them even after the session ends. Connect with us at cats@mcgill.ca. Feel free to visit our website for upcoming events, and we look forward to seeing you all next week, Friday.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.